When Fiona, Derek, and their son, Ethan, inherit a house in a new state, they jump at the opportunity for a fresh start. But during their renovations, they discover an old safe in the basement. It is only when Ethan discovers a key to the safe that their lives change forever. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Growing up, we were never the wealthy type. My family was pretty average, dealing with the usual stuff that people seem to juggle: credit card bills, loans, and relying heavily on paychecks just to make ends meet. So, when I got a random call one day saying we'd inherited a house in a different state, it felt like something out of a movie. The house belonged to my grandpa's brother, a man we were never particularly close with. But he had passed away, and to our surprise, he left us his house in his will. "We've been waiting for a new start," Fiona, my husband, Derek, said. "I think we should take it and just start a new chapter." Ethan is starting high school, so it's the perfect time to switch schools anyway. "I agree," I said, already thinking about looking for a new job that wouldn't leave me so stressed out. I needed to get some of my joy back. All I had been doing recently was working to make ends meet. Derek was doing the same thing. We were tired. But this new house could be exactly what we needed. It wasn't anything fancy. It was a charming old property that had seen better days, but it was spacious and tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. The idea of starting fresh, with no rent or mortgage hanging over our heads, was too good to pass up. So, we packed up our lives, crossed state lines, and moved in. "I'm excited, Mom," Ethan said. "I think I needed a change of scenery from town as well. I didn't really want to go to high school with the same people I'd known since I was 5 years old." When we first arrived, the house was exactly as expected. Old, creaky, and full of charm, but clearly in need of a little TLC. "We'll make it a home, Fiona," Derek said, already going on about new flooring. A few weeks in, Derek was already planning to replace some of the floorboards, and I was determined to breathe new life into the dusty old kitchen. It was going to be an adventure. Derek's parents had given us some money before we left, and we decided that we were going to put it all into the house. But the real adventure started when we stumbled upon something unexpected. Sitting inside the safe was a large red velvet bag. My hands trembled as I opened it, not ready for what I'd find. We were in the basement one Saturday afternoon, cleaning out cobwebs and old furniture. "Mom, can the basement be turned into a cave for me?" Ethan asked, grinning. "You know, so I can game here, do homework, and even study. When I make friends at school, they can hang out here, too." "That's between you and your father, honey," I chuckled. I had already claimed the extra room on the ground floor for myself, ready to turn it into a library and meditation room. "You can have it, son," Derek said. "But if there's a football game on, I'm going to be here. Deal?" "Deal," Ethan said as he moved around, taking dusty sheets off a large couch. But that's when I found it. A large, rusted safe tucked away in the corner, half hidden behind an old workbench. I stared at it, curiosity prickling at the back of my mind. The safe was old, probably as old as the house, and covered in dust like everything else. There was no key in sight. "Well, that's creepy," Ethan said. "We called the lawyer, Mr. Sinclair, who handled the estate, but there was no mention of a safe in the will. It's probably just some forgotten relic, my husband said. "I bet there's nothing inside it. If it were important, I'm sure there would have been a key around." So, we left the safe untouched. That was until a few days later when everything changed. I was busy with dinner, roasting tomatoes and grilling fish, when I heard Ethan shouting from the basement. His voice was frantic, excited. I dropped everything and rushed downstairs. "Mom! You've got to see this," he yelled as I ran down the stairs. "What's going on?" I asked, looking at him, beaming from ear to ear. He moved aside, showing me the now open safe. "I found a big old key under the floorboard by the couch," he said. Ever since Derek had given him the go-ahead for the basement being his space, Ethan had been spending a lot of time down there, cleaning as he went. It fit the lock perfectly. "Look inside." I blinked, unsure of what was to come. Sitting inside the safe was a large red velvet bag. My hands trembled as I opened it, not ready for what I'd find. The fabric felt soft in my hands, but there was something heavy inside. I opened the drawstring, slowly, my breath catching. "These are real. They're worth about $70,000. Inside were several glittering, precious stones. Shiny, colorful gems that shimmered even in the dim basement light. Could these be real? Along with the stones was a folded piece of paper. "The person who finds this will be worthy of them." Long live our family name. We were stunned. I collapsed onto the dusty couch, clutching the gems and the note. Could this really be happening to us? It felt unreal, like something out of a treasure hunt. Let's show them to Dad after dinner, I told Ethan. We have to take them to a jeweler, Derek said immediately. We need to know if they're real. They could be worth a fortune. Good job, son. The three of us ate dinner after that, each lost in thought. Was there a possibility that the stones could be real? What would that mean for us? It would mean that we could live a little more. We wouldn't have to worry about eating out or looking for discounts when shopping. We could take a family vacation. Derek and I could have date night. Something that we hadn't done in years. The next morning, Derek woke me up with a cup of coffee, eager to get to the local jeweler to have the stones appraised. My stomach was in knots the entire time, the suspense eating away at me. If the stones ended up being fake, then fine, nothing would change. But if they were worth something, everything would change. The jeweler examined each stone carefully, his expression unreadable, and I held my breath. Finally, he looked up at us. "These are real," he said. "They're worth about $70,000, maybe a little more after refining them." I felt dizzy. I had never seen that much money in my life, let alone held it in the palm of my hand. My husband looked like he had been hit by a truck. We had spent years scraping by, barely keeping our heads above water. And now, in the span of one afternoon, everything had changed. What are we going to do with all that money? Ethan asked, his eyes wide open. First, we're going to get ice cream and waffles for breakfast, Derek said. And then Mom is going to choose one of the stones to make into a ring for herself. What? Are you sure? I asked. Yes, my love, Derek said. This will keep your family legacy going in a way. You can pass it down the line if you want. But you deserve this. We drove to the little waffle place we had seen on the day we moved in and sat down. The emerald, I said. I think I want that one. And even with Derek making the emerald stone into a ring for me, we had more than enough money left over. We used the money from selling the gems to pay off all our debts. Soon our credit cards, car loans, medical bills, you name it, were a thing of the past. For the first time in what felt like forever, we were free. We didn't have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. We could breathe. We renovated the house properly, choosing exactly what we wanted for each room. We turned it into a dream house. I can't help but think about my granduncle, the man we hardly knew who left us this house, and with that, a second chance. But now, I have a beautiful new ring to remind me of him. And my family.